Hey everyone, and thank you so much for joining today. But my name is Matt Keller, and I'm a senior account manager on the education team here at GuideTalk. And I've been working with colleges and universities now for over 4 years, and I love that we have an entire team here dedicated to assisting education. It's given me the opportunity to talk with hundreds of colleges and universities ranging from 30,000 plus students to under 1,000 students, and learning about all the different strategies these institutions deploy to engage with students is just super valuable. And I get to relay these strategies to other schools, which is awesome. And I'm also joined here by my colleague, Candace, and I'm gonna let Candace introduce herself now.
Hi y'all, I'm Candace. I'm a Senior Customer Success Associate here at GuideBook. Before transitioning to GuideBook 2 years ago, I worked in higher education at the University of North Carolina, Wilmington. One of my job responsibilities was maintaining the new student orientation, commencement, and family and alumni weekend guides. So I come in with experience on both sides of the fence.
Awesome, thanks Candace. So today's guide talk is going to be split into 2 main sections. We'll first be discussing ways to virtually communicate with admitted and new students along with their families this spring and summer if they're unable to visit campus in person. And then we'll close with a demo and a Q&A discussion. If you have any questions during the webinar, please use the chat feature located at the bottom of the screen to send them in. We'll compile the list and get them to you after the presentation and the demo. We'll also address questions that were sent in prior to the session. But I'll be discussing the topics today that focus more on the admitted student communication side, and I'm going to hand it over to Candace to discuss the new student communication side. But we'll both be helping answer questions at the end. So let's talk about what sparked this whole Guide Talk series. In the light of COVID-19, higher ed professionals around the country are being forced to reimagine their programs this spring and possibly even this summer, since students will not be able to visit campus in person. Many of the schools we work with are canceling their programs altogether or making the decision to host them virtually. Regardless of your approach, it is still necessary to communicate and engage with new and admitted students this spring and summer. While the shift to virtual communication in recent weeks has become more prominent, this is nothing new. Colleges and universities have been using GuideBook for years to provide students with important information before they arrive on campus in the fall, and even throughout their first year. So let's talk about some reasons why this is so important. Virtual communication, first of all, is a safe way to communicate with your students during the current global pandemic. This is at the forefront of everybody's mind. So of course, this is one of the main reasons to go virtual this year. But in addition to this, there are also many other reasons why virtual communication is a valuable method to communicating with audiences, which leads to reason 2. Virtual communication, especially on a mobile device, allows you to provide valuable information and important resources to admitted and new students before the beginning of fall semester. Even if these students and their families are unable to physically visit a college campus, they'll still be making the decision of which school they attend in the fall. And then reason 3, virtual communication gives higher ed professionals another great channel which they can provide vital updates to students and families this spring and summer. With all the uncertainty right now, there's a good chance your university's plans will change in the next few months. Being able to reach students on their smartphones is a great way to keep them informed. So now we've heard why virtual communication is so important. Let's talk about some practical ways to use GuideBook to help do these things. And we actually figured the best way to do this was with a demo. So I'm going to transition my screen here. And we're actually going to do a short demo. So as I mentioned, I'm going to be focusing more on the admitted student side here. And the example we're going to look at is Center College. And they're in the same situation I'm sure most of you are in. Their traditional admitted student stay program was canceled, but they still needed a way to provide admitted students and families with information about campus. Even though the example we're looking at here is targeted towards admitted students, you can use the same tools and features we'll cover to target information to new students, current students, alumni, and really any other type of audience you need to engage with. If you'd like to set up a personal demo discussing your specific needs, then please let us know and we'd be happy to set something up. Before we get into Center College's example though, I just want to talk about GuideBook in general, give a brief description of what it is and what the dashboard looks like. So over here on the left, this is the back end side of GuideBook. This is what you and all of your colleagues will see when you're actually managing the information. And one way I like to describe GuideBook is a platform that allows the average computer user, somebody like me who doesn't know how to code or doesn't know how to build apps from scratch or anything, it gives somebody like me the opportunity to easily create and manage information on a mobile app. And again, this over here on the left, we're going to do all that. So down here, this is how you get to the content management system, which we call Builder. And again, I'm going to just keep stressing that it's an easy system to use. Like all the basic computer skills that you already have are what you need to operate this system, such as dragging and dropping things on a screen, or pointing and clicking and adding a menu item to the main menu over here with a button. Or if you want to add information, simply clicking on the tab that you want to add the information and filling in a form. So these are things you know how to do. And it's so important that this is easy to use, because when it comes time to making maybe a last minute change or updating some information, because we know this information is always evolving, we don't want to be a big process. We want you to be able to go in, do this yourself without having to call the IT department or having to call a technical support member of your team, and make the change on your own in real time. So anytime you make a change, you would just click this update pending button over here, and that change would update on everybody's device. Something else I'm going to point out though is all these different icons. You have complete control over the icons that go into the app. So these icons, you can just put custom ones straight from your computer and upload them into the system, or you can pick our icons and change them to match your school's exact colors, which that's a really cool idea. And if we look over here, obviously this guide is a different guide than Center College over here, but Center College has did a great job with using a combination of their own custom icons, combination of our icons, and changing some colors as well. So let's go back to the main menu here. And a few other things I'm going to point out just on the main menu. Again, we're not going to get super in-depth in a lot of these things, but if you want to have a more in-depth conversation, let us know, and we can talk about any of this in a one-on-one conversation. First tab you see here, audience management. This is where you're going to control things like privacy settings. This is where you're going to control who has access to the guide, things like that. The tab right below it, notifications. We will get into this in a little more detail here at the end, but this is super important. This is where you're going to be able to send out all your push notifications and alerts to students. Below that, surveys and polls. Surveys are a great way to get feedback from students and parents and really any audience throughout the entire guide. Polls, that's a great way to actually engage students. So if you're doing a maybe like an online webinar or something like that, tell everybody to pull their phones out and have a live poll on there, and you can get the results in real time. It's just a good way to keep the audience engaged and show those results in real time. Another really important tab is promotion. So we have a whole section here with tools and different things you can use to get the word out to all of your students and parents and everybody, and saying, hey, here's where to download my guide. And this is probably more important now than ever, because people will not be on campus in person. So you can't just tell them to download it. You have to use promotion strategies to do that. And lucky, this is something we've been doing for forever now. And one of my favorite tools is right here. So what this tool is, this is Center College's what we call a cover page. And what you do is you incorporate this link in your current promotion strategies. You might put it on a website, you might put it on, send it out in emails or put it on social media, but it allows students to access a download page. So they can see some basic information, and then at the bottom, they can actually download the app right from here. And then metrics. Metrics are going to be another great way to get some feedback and data from how people are using your app. And up here, I actually have a metrics page. So the first set of metrics trends, these are going to be, really the trends are going to show you were people using the app. So you're going to see like how many downloads you have, how many individual guide sessions, things like that. We have quite a few different metrics here, but you can take these metrics and actually export them into an Excel sheet. So you can take them, build reports with them, organize the data, and make some valuable decisions in the future based on this. My favorite set of metrics, though, is insights. This isn't going to show you if people were using the guide. It's going to show you how they were using it. So you're going to see things like, what's the most viewed menu item over here on your app? What's the most viewed item on your app, to see what your students and parents are really engaging with the most. And this can help you decide in the future. You might say, hey, look, we might want to highlight this more. People were really engaged with this specific information. And again, you can take all this information and export it into an Excel sheet. So let's transition and actually look at Center College's guide. And there's really three main areas we're going to focus on. One of the areas is providing information about the campus to students. And I have this conversation a lot with admissions departments. It's super important that the student makes sure it's a good culture fit for them before they attend the college. So Center College did some really cool things here. The first one I want to point out is they put a campus tour in the guide that students can take while they're sitting at home. And what we're actually going to do here, we're just going to click through this tour and show you what it looks like. So when I reach the first stop here, the phone would prompt me to put my phone up to my ear, so a student, again, can be sitting at home, have headphones in, or just put the phone up to their ear. And the reason is they actually put an audio recording about this stop on the tour from a real tour guide actually recorded it, and they put it right in this section here. So it's really cool. The student can listen to what a tour guide would say about this section. They can also look through here, and they put 10 different photos in here about the place in different maybe seasons, different times of year, so the student can get a good idea of what campus looks like and just read some basic information down here. So when they're done exploring this stop, they just hit next destination. I've reached this stop, and they're going to be at the next stop. And they can do it all over again. Listen to the recording, read the information, view the photos. This is also something that's great because once students get on campus in the fall, they can actually go take the tour in real life. And this tour will show them how to get from stop to stop. So we're going to back out of the tour. If I ended up clicking to the end of the tour, the student would also, or you would also have the opportunity to put in a survey or a form for the student to get feedback or to gather information from them if you would like. So they do a lot of other great things in here just to provide students with information and, again, get them familiar with the culture of the campus. They put in a tab here called Meet Your Tour Guides. This is a great way just so students can read through real-life stories about students and get information maybe about their majors or their experience with the university. So I really like this touch. Another thing they did here, and I don't see this as much with admitted student guides, but I think this is a great addition, is putting a list in here about athletics. So what this list is right here, and the one we just looked at, is a tool that's called a custom list. A custom list is literally just a place to add content of any kind. So any single guide, no matter if it's for admitted students or new students or alumni, is going to have a lot of different custom lists inside. And it's what allows you to add the information that's targeted for your specific audience. But this is great. This allows students to click through here, click on different sports teams, and get information about them. They even incorporated websites down here about the team. So just another great way to get students familiar with the campus. A few other things they did, I'm going to point out. They have a website linked in here to the admissions website. They have social media feeds down here. They even have a YouTube channel down here for Center College. And the great thing is anytime you link in these external resources, it's going to go to that information and it's not going to toggle the student out of your app. So they can view this information here. And then when they're done, they're going to go right back where they were. So it's a very seamless process of presenting that information to them. And this is another conversation I have with higher ed professionals, really of any type of department, is, hey, we have a lot of information out there for students. We have information on our website. We have social media information. We have brochures and emails we send students. But, it's hard for the student to find the information they're looking for. So what Guidebook does, it allows you to take all that information that could be on a website or on a social media account or a brochure or anything, and put it in one place for the student, which in this case is their phone. So some other things we're going to talk about now, really the second thing that they do really well, which is not just provide information about the school, but they also provide information about the surrounding area. So they have two tabs right here, local favorites. Let's click on this one first. And one reason this is so important, again, it's the same idea. A student's going to be spending the next 4+ years in this city at this university. So they need to know, hey, is the city a good fit for me? Am I going to like the city? So this just gives them a good idea to, show them things, what's going on around the city. It has different cafes in here, different restaurants, coffee shops, all kinds of different things. A student can click around. This, again, is another example of a custom list. But the cool addition to this custom list that they included is a map. So if I was really in the city, I could click here, or I could just from home click here and see where this coffee shop's located. They do the same thing with Get to Know Danville. They just have a few different types of places here. They have museums and parks and different historical sites and just other ways to get students familiar with the city they're going to be in. And again, these are things that a student can use once they're on campus. If they, throughout their first semester, they can see, get ideas of what to explore while they're there. So the next thing we're going to look at, we're actually going to transition to a different guide, and this is the third area. And we talked about this a little bit, but being able to send out push notifications to students and really anybody that has your app downloaded at any time when things change. So over here on the left, let's look at the notification section. So this is going to show you all your past notifications here, but if you want to create a new one, you go here, type in your notification, your message, and your title. Down here, you might hit toggle notification on. It says you have 25. Keep in mind, you can have as many notifications as you want. You just need to let your account manager know. But there's going to be 3 places that push notifications are going to go. First place they're going to go is the home screen of the phone. Just like any other push notification, if you send out a message, it's going to go to the home screen. In the second place it would go, for some reason they miss it there, and I'm going to show you over here on this demo guide, it's going to go to a tab, really an inbox tab that you can call whatever you want. In this example, it's called notifications. And you can see here I have one unread notification. When I click on it, I can see all of my notifications, and there's this dot beside the one that's unread. Click here, read about the notification. So if I miss it on the home screen, I'll see it here. And then the third place a notification would go is going to be on this social wall that we call Interact. Now, this social wall right here, this is great if engagement is part of your focus, or collaboration, networking. It's obviously not appropriate for every kind of guide. Maybe not your admitted students guide, but definitely a great addition to like a new students guide or a current students guide where networking is more important. But if you end up using this feed right here, it allows students to post comments on here, post photos, share their experience. And the great thing is it's not going to pull from outside sources. It's not going to pull from an outside social media account or anything like that. It's just going to be things relevant to this guide. And if you end up using this, all the push notifications you send will also go to this feed, which is the third place they're going to go. You can even set up this feed if you still want to use it but don't want students to post on it. You can set it up to where only you and the other admin can post here. Something else we'll get into with push notifications. There's really 2 different ways to use these. You can send them out immediately, which is more reactive communication. So if something comes up last minute, which again, we talked about, things definitely are going to change in the next few months here. So you're going to need to be able to send out these, immediate push notifications. So you can send them out to go out immediately, or if you want to send out more what I call proactive type communication. So if you know there's a deadline coming up and you want to remind your student about it and you want a push notification to go out April 30th at any time, you can go ahead and schedule that notification to go out at that time. So those are the 3 aspects of a great admitted students guide, in being able to communicate with students and tell them about campus, being able to tell them about the surrounding area, and then being able to communicate updates with them at any time. So let's go back to the presentation and let's turn it over to Candace.
Hey guys, so I'm going to talk about new students, but with that, I'm going to focus a bit on orientation, but you can also use these practices for your existing students and any kind of demographic of students, whether it's transition students, international students, what have you. While we collectively navigate the unknown, it is important for us to maintain control of what we can. Make a list of all the items the incoming student needs to complete, like FAFSA, immunization forms, ordering books, etc. I'm sure there is some form of new student checklist in your existing materials. Adding those lists to your guidebook allows students to get ahead and stay on top of everything that they're responsible for in a centralized location. It is extremely important to take those items a step further and see what tasks used to require on-site visits, but can be changed into self-service tasks. For example, what if students take their own student ID photos and upload them for staff review and approval? Are there required seminars that they would attend at orientation that could be recorded and put online To maintain accountability with your students, you can quiz them on knowledge that they would only know if they watch the provided materials, and those assessments can be linked directly into your guide. Think beyond the obvious. Copy and pasting important information into your guide as a resource is a great first step. But the point of this talk is to get your juices flowing for elevated usage and out-of-the-box solutions. It is essential right now to keep the attention and engagement of your students. Using our Interact feature to moderate discussions and engagement will cultivate your community virtually. Like, here's an idea. Take a Trivia Tuesday. Post a trivia question on a Tuesday at a specific time on Interact. And then students can engage with each other on the post. And then publicly, you can post the answer later, maybe offer some kind of incentive like a shout out on another social media platform. And then you can use this time to test students' knowledge on what needs to be done before the next semester begins. School trivia, faculty staff trivia, kind of anything that has to do with the university and your community. Here's another idea. Use your orientation leaders to take over the Interact feed and encourage engagement. Different orientation leaders can lead various sections of engagement, like one could lead trivia, one could lead faculty spotlights, one could lead a student experience Q&A, etc. Not only do you engage your incoming students, but you also keep your student leaders active and responsible. Our engagement features help make sessions much more interactive, so while attendees are not physically present, they'll still be able to engage with you as the organizer, with other attendees, and with speakers. Of course, as Matt mentioned, moderation of content is important with incoming students. That level of trust and freedom is only starting with your students. You're able to toggle off user posts at any time, so you can disable user posts when you're not actively seeking engagement, and then you can turn it on for those high traffic times when someone will have eyes on what's being posted, to continue to have that level of control. While we understand that not all information can live in your guide, because there's so many different platforms that students need to log into and many different spheres to IT at a university, it is important for us to make sure that you are getting the most out of your purchase and experience with us. The best way to measure that success is the adoption and usage of your resource. Provide exclusive content through your guide that students and parents cannot access anywhere else. For example, if you have to move orientation modules online, you can state in your communications that those resources will only be accessible through your guide. Or say, students who complete a task in Guidebook by a certain date are eligible for early class registration. These, of course, are just ideas, as all institutions differ in what they can accomplish. But the main idea is to funnel your audience in the direction you want them. Our system is intuitive and easy to master by design, but the guides we see the most success with take that extra step of innovation and creativity to become an invaluable resource on campus. And that's it for my portion. We're going to transition to the Q&A and discussion. We've been compiling some of your questions, and we actually received a few prior to today, which we'll address as well.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Candace. I'll take the first question here. So I'm going to read the question, then I'm actually going to go back out to my to the demo and show you a few ways to do this. So first question we had in was, engagement networking are so tough virtually. Could you please be sure to show us some features Guidebook has that help facilitate virtual engagement between users? So that's a really good question. We touched on a few of those things, but there's definitely other ones we didn't touch on that I'll show you here. So back to my dashboard. So let's look over here at this demo guide. One thing we touched at for engagement was this Interact feed, which is again like a live social feed for everybody to post on. We won't go much more into this since we talked about it a little bit, but you can post photos on this, you can post comments, students can post comments. And a question I get a lot is, can we as an admin regulate what goes on here and take things off of it? And you will have the ability to block users' posts. You'll have the ability to take the user off completely so they can't post again. So you can regulate this information on here. But another great engagement tool that I didn't get into is one-on-one communication. So it's going to be, you can call this whatever you want. It's called Connect in this guide right here. So as you can see, what this is a list of all of your students that have downloaded the guide and that have decided to make a guidebook account. Making a guidebook account and checking into a guide like this is pretty much saying, hey, I want to be communicated with. And what you can do is you can go look through this as a student and you can invite people to connect. Same thing as kind of sending a friend request. They have the ability to either accept it or decline it. And then up in my, if I click my connections tab here, I can see all of my different connections. I can even click on these connections. There's Patrick, for instance. Click on these connections and see their profile. And they have the ability, each student has the ability to set this profile up however they want. They can put a picture up here if they want. They can put basic information down here, contact information, social media information. But regardless, you can chat with a connection one-on-one right through the guide. So it's a really cool way to help students connect and network, especially with like a new students guide like Candace was talking about, so students can kind of get to know each other. Another engagement tool, so this would be more if students were on campus, you wanted them to get familiar with campus. You can do a QR code scavenger hunt where you would hide different QR codes around campus and allow students to go find them, scan them, and then fill in kind of like a phrase or a sentence or something like that. And when they were done, they could send in their email address and possibly win like a prize or something like that. So those are three great engagement tools that we have.
Thanks, Matt. I can take the next question. Do students have to be logged into the app to receive notifications, or will they receive them simply by having the app downloaded? Generally speaking, no. Students do not have to be logged into the app to receive notifications that are sent to everyone. If, however, you send notifications to specific users, your students would need to be logged in so they know who they are and can make sure that they receive the targeted message.
Awesome. Thanks, Candace. So I'll take the third question here. Third question was, are we able to increase the number above 25 of push notifications if we wanted to? I believe I mentioned that, but just in case, let's look back at push notifications. It's a great question. I get this every single time I do a demo. So right here, it says you have 25 push notifications. You can have as many push notifications as you need. This was put in here a long time ago for people using Guidebook for a shorter period of time to avoid spamming your users and sending them too many push notifications. But for these two use cases, you might need more than 25. So you can absolutely have as many push notifications as you need.
All right, I can take the last question.
Oh, perfect. Thanks,
Sorry about that, Matt. I'll jump in. The last question is, can you put video in the tours? You can include images, audio, and text, and you can include a link to a video as well. If you have more ideas about the way you want to design your guide, like incorporating more video or anything else, we would love to hear what you have in mind.
Perfect. So we have another question just came in here. For prospective students maybe taking a tour, can parents use the service too? And absolutely, you can. We actually encourage that parents and families download the guide as well. So they can click on the tour, take the tour the exact same way students can. Because parents are going to have questions. Parents are going to want to make sure their students are going to, know about the school their students are going to. So yeah, that's definitely something you're going to want to include. Awesome, great question.
Great. Okay. I can get the next one. Can you add a form for a student to e-sign? Yes, you can include forms via link. You may need to toggle the settings to make sure that they operate correctly, but yes, you can include all forms of link inside your guide.
Awesome. We'll wait a couple seconds, see if there's any other questions that come in here. So next question was, is there a space for students to collaborate? So yeah, the best space for students to collaborate is going to be the social wall I pointed out, which is called Interact. Again, you can name that whatever you want. So this is going to be a great place for students to collaborate in like a group forum. And then they can also chat one-on-one as well.
For students who downloaded the app last year, will they get any new notifications for new students? If you use the same guide year over year, then existing users will get notifications. This is why if you're an existing client, you have an account manager, and we recommend buying a new guide year to year and just copying content, which is built into our system and made super easy. But a fresh guide is always recommended.
Awesome, thanks, Candace. I think this might be the last one. That's another great question. Can we talk about other EDU use cases? So it's a really good question, because one way that we talk about using Guidebook is across the whole student life cycle. So the use cases me and Candace talked about, the first one is for admitted students, but you could also go a step back and talk to prospective students in the same way. So prospective students, admitted students, and then new students, which Candace covered. Also, like current students, having guides for clubs and organizations, having guides for things like homecoming, having guides for student activities. These are other great ways to communicate with current students as well. And then commencement has become a really popular use case. Using commencement not just for the day or few days of commencement, but also as a commencement tool, telling students about, hey, here's things to do before commencement. Here's how to prepare for commencement. So that's super important. And then also alumni. Alumni is another great use case, even alumni weekends, also family and parent weekends. So those are a few of the more common use cases that we see. Awesome. We'll wait a couple seconds, see if any other questions have come in here.
We did get one more. It says, I think you said the social wall could be inactive for prospective students. You can choose to disable user posts if you want to. So only admin and notifications will be posted on the wall, and just users can't comment. But you can also toggle that back on at any time as well.
Awesome. I actually think we're getting another one. So let's see here. Can I transition the admitted student guide into orientation? So it's a really good question. We typically suggest that a guide, especially to different audiences like admitted students and new students, they should be separate guides, but you could include resources in, let's say, the admitted students guide, for instance, that would help promote the new student guide and help lead people to download the new student guide.
Is there a way to add more seamless external content? Right now, we add PDFs. They have to enter the section and then click PDF link to download, for example. Is this still the same? We recommend adding information directly into the description areas wherever possible. So taking content out of PDFs if it works. Otherwise, you do need to link your PDFs, and so that would involve more clicks.
Okay. Let's see if there's any more that pop in. We'll give it a few seconds. Great. I think that's it. Again, thanks everybody for joining. We really appreciate the questions as well. And if anybody, if we didn't get to your question, or if you want to talk about something more specific, maybe your specific use case, please let us know, and we can set up a one-on-one demo and go more in depth in all these different things. And we're going to send these slides out and the recording out in a follow-up email, so be on the lookout for that. But everybody stay safe, and yeah, we really appreciate it. Take care.